Anderson Cooper 360, weeknights at 8 and 10 on CNN.
Since he's been charged with premeditated murder, some who say they knew this once beloved South African sports star are now willing to tell another side of Oscar Pistorius.
It's like, wow, you're waiting for something like this to happen, you know.
Mark Batchelor, a South African soccer player who socialized with Pistorius in South Africa's glamour and sports circles, says he never bought the idyllic image being portrayed in the media.
He would have a trip switch and, you know, he'd get violent and angry and he'd fight with people and he'd cause a lot of problems. And, I mean, that's the incident with me and him was because he was drunk at a party and he started shouting and swearing on the phone.
Batchelor describes that incident as beginning when Pistorius thought a girlfriend was cheating on him. Despite Batchelor's size, he says Pistorius wanted a fight.
He said, oh, he's not scared. If I want to come down there, he knows where I am and blah, blah, blah. But I left it, you know. I said to him, if you got a problem, I'll see you when I see you, and, you know.
One thing many don't know, Batchelor says, is that Pistorius was armed nearly everywhere he went. He even applied to become a licensed gun collector so he could buy more than the 4 guns allowed by South African law. Just last January, though the facts are in dispute, friend and boxer Kevin Lorena says Pistorius was holding a gun at this outdoor cafe when it went off. Lorena says Pistorius was showing the gun to a friend.
That was a major mistake, what happened from Oscar's party. It wasn't intentional, and that also could have been a very bad event and something that could have been very tragic. We were all very fortunate that day. And after that event, Oscar was very apologetic.
There are no police records, and CNN could get no comment from the restaurant. And when questions were asked in the papers, an unidentified Pistorius friend said it was he who brought the gun to the restaurant, not Pistorius. South African media has always adored Pistorius, some would say even protected him, by minimizing his problems.
He was one of the biggest stories at the Olympic Games.
Graham Joffe is one of the few South African sports journalists who's been critical of Oscar Pistorius. He says the PR machine behind the so-called Blade Runner has all but made him untouchable.
On record, there really isn't a problem. Yeah, true, that's the thing. You know, so many incidents that have happened, and they've been well documented. Things that have happened over, say, the last 5 or 6 years with Oscar Pistorius, and these kind of cases have disappeared.
Take the Blade Runner's 2009 boating accident. Oscar Pistorius himself says he was nearly killed when the speedboat he was driving hit a submerged object. It happened February 21st. He had to be airlifted and underwent facial reconstruction surgery. Yet at the time, doctors downplayed the injuries as minor. 3 days later, local news reported police found alcohol bottles inside the submerged boat. A police spokesperson was quoted, "We are investigating the possibility that the consumption of alcohol had played a role in the boating accident." But the very next day, there was an about-face. The same police spokesperson said she was misquoted, and even said police could not confirm Pistorius was even the driver. Pistorius's manager strongly condemned the report, saying, "That's the problem with South African media. They don't get their facts straight, and they love to speculate." Police eventually dropped their negligent driving charge against Pistorius. On Valentine's Day morning, when Joffe heard the news of Riva Steenkamp's shooting, he says he almost knew it was coming.
Probably more shocked me, but didn't surprise me. Mainly because what has transpired over the last few years, I saw something developing. And some of the things I didn't even know about him, the guns and arms and ammunition, was something I didn't even know about that. But it all pieces together that here I think you had a troubled athlete. Not so much this, you had this incredible role model to the rest of the world. No question about that. But deep down, this was a troubled athlete.
A troubled athlete, perhaps, but even friends who criticized Pistorius's actions defend him.
Said he was a good guy, could have fun with his mates, but never was he reckless and ever in my company aggressive towards anyone.
Pistorius, facing charges of premeditated murder, is not in jail. He's awaiting his trial here at his uncle's multi-million-dollar mansion. And we've learned there's more. Even the terms of his release seem to have changed since Oscar Pistorius got out of that jail cell. He now lives here, and though he was supposed to visit the police twice a week, the authorities now will visit him here, and only occasionally. CNN has repeatedly asked the Pistorius family and his lawyers for comment. We are told there will be no more. His next court appearance is not scheduled until June.
Drew Griffin joins me. Now, Drew, this picture of Pistorius that you painted, I mean, it's definitely much different than the one presented since the last Olympics. Does it seem like any of this will come out of the trial?
It seems logical that it would, Anderson, but I must tell you, police are absolutely mum on any part of their investigation. But I can imagine they are going to try, if they believe that Oscar Pistorius is indeed guilty of premeditated murder, to also look into his past relationships to see if there were anger issues, to see if there was any kind of domestic abuse in his past, and really reach out to the same women in this country that we've been trying to find, who also, Anderson, are remaining very quiet on their relationships with Oscar Pistorius.